What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas of Coin Mastery TV. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to get alerted of new videos. Hit the thumbs up button if you are returning. And let's talk about what's going on in this crazy world that we live in of crypto. Now, today we are watching really big, just adding to the just monstrous dumpage that's been going on. But we're going to talk a little bit about that, about how this impacts a lot of you long-term investors, things like that. And then I want to talk about some things that are going on in the bigger picture. We had a big ICO hearing today in the Senate that had, marginal takeaways, but, some stuff you can think about. And then a few other pieces of news that I think will be helpful as you start to craft your vision of the future of domination. All right, so let's just kick this thing off and get started. Now, I have simplified this as best I can, and we're looking at the dollar charts on Bitfinex. And I'm going to keep it as simple as possible for people because I don't think anyone here is really that focused on short-term trading. For those of you who are interested, I would say in the next week or so, we'll start putting out some alternative videos with people that do this professionally, and hopefully they can come in and help you guys out, teach you, not kind of in conjunction to the daily videos, maybe put out one in the afternoon or something that can help you guys out. But I recognize that most people are here just long-term investors. But what I think it is important is getting a basic understanding of how certain patterns and certain trends can unfold, especially on the longer time frames. And so you can see yesterday we had a closed daily candle. This is called a doji, which is often a sign of a transition, a reversal off. That's one of the things it can signal. Unfortunately, it looks like it signaled this brief uptrend to a downtrend. Now we have to wait and see how this candle closes today, but we had a bit of a bear flag going on, and it proved that it was true. And we dropped right down through. And you can see this bright blue line. This is a long-term trend line for a log scale. And you can see how this held up the price last time. We are breaking through that, meaning if this daily candle closes below this trend line, that may be a problem. Maybe more downward action to come, so to speak. So we're going to keep an eye on that. The other thing that you may see people pointing out is that they don't use the log scale. So many of you, if you do or don't, but if you turn off the log, you can see how this chart changes and it starts to look more like the kind of classic bubble chart that people have shown before. And I'm very quickly going to draw this, but if you draw a trend line, really from, let's call it March of last year up through this area, you can see a new break point, which is right around 8,000, give or take. And if you didn't use the log scale, that's what you'd be looking at. So I would say anywhere, depending on where this daily candle closes, anywhere between 8,300 and 8,000 is kind of this iffy TBD area. If it goes below 8,000, we're really going to see what happens. From my 2 cents would be that if it did go below that, right where this previous bottom was, let's call it 6,000 at this previous resistance, I'd probably start going pretty heavy right there on a long position to buy back in. And if for some reason that failed, our trusty 4,900 back to save the day. So that's where we're at. It's not good news. It's not bad news. It's just news. It is what it is. And there's something kind of liberating about that. What I would recommend everybody do, which we've talked about, is today, if you are unsure of what you should be doing, I would definitely encourage you to take 10 minutes today and write down on a piece of paper 3 things. What will you do if the price goes up tomorrow? What will you do if it stays right around here tomorrow? What would you do if it keeps going down? And write down exactly what you can do. Now, you can either sell everything, you can hold on to everything, you can hold on to things and open up a short account, start short selling Bitcoin. I can't recommend, obviously, there's none of this professional advice. I can't recommend one or the other because nobody knows really what's going to happen next. But what I can tell you to do, or what I would recommend to do, which is what I'm doing, is just have a plan no matter what happens. And that's really up to you. It's up to your risk tolerance and what you can handle, especially as we are on a downward trend. Now, my long-term sentiment, obviously, is that eventually this is going to pick back up and we're going to see some major action. But there's just so much, ridiculousness built into this chart. I mean, there's so much dumb money and fast money and like money that shouldn't be here to begin with. And that's got to get cleared out. And whether we can clear it out in this quadrant or whether we have to go further down in the chart to clear it out, it's got to get cleared out. But once it does, we're going to be in business. So keeping that in mind, just playing the long game, always a good place to be. Let's move on. Let's move on to what happened this morning. Now, last time we saw a Senate hearing. So if you don't know, this happens in the United States, but it happens really everywhere. They create these kind of committees where they bring people in to maybe specialize in a certain topic or focus on a certain topic, whether it be appropriations, whether it be fintech, whether it be, in this case, cryptocurrencies. And this one was really focused on ICOs, where Congress people, senators, etc., will come together and ask questions to a group of experts. Last time, it was the chairman of the CFTC and the chairman of the SEC. This time, it was people that were, there's someone from Coinbase, obviously the biggest exchange in the United States, someone from Coin Center, which is kind of a lobbying group, or they're trying to work with Washington to get things passed. A few other lawyers involved, all of which were really impressive, I must say, and really well spoken. And the overall sentiment of this hearing was much less, I would say, not even bullish, like hopeful than the first one. And I don't say that in a negative way, but the first one, everyone left and they're like, you know what? These guys are trying to make something good happen here. They know that they need to regulate. It's a necessary evil, but on average, like overall, they're ready to just get this done and move forward. This hearing was a little bit more of the senator saying, hey, prove to us why this isn't the biggest scam for terrorist activity ever. I mean, I'm grossly overstating that, but it really came off as a, hey, prove to us why this isn't some huge joke or whatever. And like I said, the panelists did a great job. So hats off to them. And different senators had different tones and different levels of skepticism and incredulity, for a better word. At the same time, there's Congress people that had very bullish sentiments. Tom Emmer is probably the most famous high person in crypto because he came out and said, look, why are we talking about how we need more regulation? We need to let these guys go and do their thing and build something incredible without us getting up in their face about it. Like, we should be focusing on the solutions of blockchain, not on all the BS. And like, let's create some clear rules, but let them go create it. And there's obviously political overtones to all the different sides of this statement, but it's a very libertarian approach and technologist approach in many ways, which that's really what a lot of the crypto community, I think, is drawn to that. So overall, this wasn't necessarily bad news for ICOs or for crypto, but it wasn't necessarily good news either. All it did was just say, it was a formalized way of saying, look, we're doing the crypto world is doing the best we can. The Congress people saying, like, we're not really sure what's going on, but we're we know this is a thing. And that's really where it stopped. And it's like, hey, we'll all follow up. So if you want to watch it, I would encourage you I'll link this article and you can go check out the video and read up on it yourself. But part of me wants to get kind of really pessimistic and realize how insular so many people's thinking is about kind of that curiosity to go learn about new things. At the same time, the economist in me and really like the trader in me just says, look, this is just what it is. Doesn't matter what I think. This is just how the cards are being dealt. What do I do about it? And I would encourage people to look at it that way. From a macro standpoint, as it impacts the market, we'll see how this unfolds. But I think this is just like one chapter, one page in the book as we get closer to something that will be potentially impactful, right? Making that gray area more black and white as best we can. Now, along those lines, you guys may have seen the Winklevoss twins. They're doing a big part trying to really create this self-regulating body within the crypto world. And so they look at what's going on here. They see it as, look, there's this kind of old school government that has old school thinking. We've got this whole new technology sector with all this promise. If we don't step in and proactively try to create a solution, they're going to just serve down a solution that's been in place already. They're trying to say, well, here's what securities laws are. Here's commodities. Here's property. Here's currency. Which box can we put you in? And I think that they're trying to say, look, why don't we create something that's helpful or that's new and that meets the needs of what's going on. And so my hat is off to them, whether, whatever your personal feelings are about the Winklevoss twins. At least they're going out and doing something. Obviously, they're going to profit from this. They have massive investments in Bitcoin and in the ecosystem with Gemini. But it is good to see them trying to make a proactive approach. So this is all happening. I think it's all going to happen faster than we think. Like, it's all going to come down all at once because it kind of has to. Because if you roll out regulations slow, typically you just get bogged down in legal action as people try to create precedent as it gets regulated. And I'm sure that that's not what the government is going to want or let happen. So you see this on the government side. Now on the business side, which is an indirect form of government regulation, is you start to see companies trying to protect themselves from what is a very, not even taboo, but kind of a volatile topic, which is cryptocurrency. So you saw Facebook banning ads. Now you're seeing Google banning ads. Now this creates a big problem for marketers. And as you know, ICOs are built on marketing. That is what they are. It is a hype machine. It is a product launch. That is it. There's obviously some ICOs that have incredible products to them. But when you cut off marketing channels for the thing that is most volatile or most, sketchy in many ways, you remove yourself from the problem. It also can potentially thwart a lot of the ICOs that were using advertising as ways to bring investors in. No disclaimers, very little barrier to entry, and raise millions of dollars. So this is this sort of thing is kind of like businesses, the equivalent of the government saying exchanges need to get shut down. This is the equivalent of going to ICOs and saying like your marketing is getting shut down as such. And so what you're going to see is fewer ICOs that can really leverage these kind of advertisements. You're also going to see a lot of people trying to get around that, right? Like you're going to see people doing different ICO related marketing and stuff like that. And hopefully it creates a new filter that you need to go through, but it also is going to hopefully clean up the space to a certain extent, because when you can't just go and buy ads yourself, you have to go through a third party to get your marketing done. It creates a whole host of new challenges for an ICO. So hopefully this is a good thing as it relates. But it does show a proactive approach by something like Google as it relates not only from a government and regulatory standpoint, but it shows that ICOs are indeed the most volatile thing in the ecosystem. And once ICOs get figured out, then everything else will get figured out. Taxes and exchanges and all that sort of thing. Cool. All right. let's see. Keep Blacker. All right, turn this off. Okay, so if you don't know, if you're this is like a very San Francisco Silicon Valley thing that's been going on for about a year. So Theranos, this lady Elizabeth Holmes, she founded a company called Theranos, and she raised, I want to say like $700 million, so over $500 million. And the idea is that Theranos, you could go and get your blood tested at like Walgreens, I think was the big one, or maybe Rite Aid, one of the pharmacies all over America, and you can get your blood tested and get all your levels done, kind of DIY type of thing. And she raised all this money, and it turns out they had no product, they had no business, it was one of the biggest scams or like fleecings of venture capital ever. People couldn't believe it. And this case has been litigated for, I want to say a year or maybe even more. And it's been kind of like, what's going to happen? It's pending, who knows? And it just came down that she is getting indicted for a $500,000 fine, can't serve as a director of a public company for 10 years. Which kind of classic white collar crime. Like they always get away. I mean, they raised $700 million and $500,000 fine. Like, give me a break. But, that's a different discussion. What I think is important as it relates to all the things happening is that the SEC just came down on an existing case. Guess what's next in their queue? All of the things that they just sent out subpoenas. So they sent out like 80, 90 subpoenas for ICOs and for tech or for crypto-related companies and startups and marketing companies. That's what's next on the docket. They needed to clear their plate so they can go and get this stuff all done. So watching these sort of trends happen in the news frees up the resources so that they can have more eyes and bodies dedicated to crypto regulation. So it just leads the path to showing some sort of regulation. I would not be surprised whatsoever if a lot of this price action that we're seeing is baked into a lot of what's going on here. Not necessarily bad news, it's just uncertainty. And so my whole theory, or one of my theories I should say, is that there's probably a group of individuals or whoever it may be that are just kind of strategically dumping all this, all their Bitcoin, among others, as they know that the hammer is coming. Not because they're scared, but because they want to lock in their profits before anything bad happens. So keeping an eye on this helps you time things a little bit better. It helps you get a little bit better sense of direction, because once the regulation comes out, we'll probably see a little bit more fear spiking, and then we'll see a renewed sense of bullishness, because now the unknown is gone. The fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Right? They kind of knock them all down. There's nothing left to do except grow. Now, a bit of good news. I don't know why that's highlighted. I wanted to just point out company Hashgraph. Now, I have nothing to do with Hashgraph. I have no investment in Hashgraph. I've met a few people from Hashgraph. I unfortunately was not able to get any sort of allocation or pre-sale. But what I will say is last night they gave a presentation, a long-awaited presentation, and it was pretty sweet. It was technical, but it was really, really cool. And I think it was the first presentation I've seen in the crypto site, because it's not blockchain. It's like a whole new form of technology, like a whole new distributed ledger technology type thing. It was really impressive, and it did a lot of things. It solved a lot of problems, or at least it claims to, where it's unbelievably fast, like 1 million transactions a second. It's incredibly secure. It's got real world use cases. They brought in the CEO or founder of Machine Zone, which is a massive gaming company, mobile games, and they're building a whole new ecosystem on top of Hashgraph. So there's real world use cases that can provide real world value for billion-dollar businesses, credit unions using it. And I'm not saying this to promote or anything Hashgraph. I mean, I guess I am, but it was just really impressive. And I think watching this gave me a little bit more insight into what the future of this whole space could and will look like. It's not just going to be going to CoinMarketCap and going down the list and thinking to yourself, and like having everything kind of look the same except for one small detail, and like that's their unique selling proposition, and that's what they market. That's the story. That's what drives the price. That's how it is now. You're gonna start to see new like huge ideas that are just completely different. New technologies, new integrations, new presentations, all that. And I would encourage you to start thinking a little bit bigger than what CoinMarketCap is telling you each day, than the price is telling you each day. Because when you see stuff like this, it really makes you realize how much bigger this is going to be than just the price of Bitcoin or than the total market cap. So who knows if Hashgraph's going to do well? Can't wait to see. Hopefully I can get my hands on some of the coins if they do offer some coins or cryptocurrencies. But it was inspiring. It really was. And it was cool to see. Speaking of which, Stephen Hawking passed away yesterday, which was really sad. I just want to kind of give a formal shout out. That guy's always been an inspiration to me. I thought that it was a really sad day, but I'm really glad that I could have, heard him speak and read some of his books. So I would be remiss if I did not say, give my condolences to him. With that, I think we're just going to kind of wait and see. Again, the best thing I would encourage anyone to do, just what are you going to do in any situation if this price keeps going down, which it looks like it probably will for the foreseeable future, unfortunately. What's your plan? Wait and hold. It's great, but just have a plan. Make it happen. I'll link all this stuff up. You can go check it out. Potentially check out the hearing, but definitely check out this Hashgraph thing. I think that it's inspiring, and I think that everyone can use a little inspiration right now. So, what is it? Wednesday, man. Halfway through the week. All right, guys. Hope you have a great day. I will catch you later. All right. Peace out.